Boys and girls, I'm on fire today. This is gonna be a fantastic video. I'm on fire because I want to show you my new favorite guitar speaker. That means the Mesa Boogie Voice Celestion V30 finally got some competition. Isn't that cool? Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Slipknot Mick Thomson signature guitar speaker from Eminence, the DV-77. All the guitars you just heard in that little intro were recorded through the DV-77. Even the bass, like one of the bass tracks, the high gain bass track, went through that speaker. A lot of DV-77. And you could hear it sounds pretty fucking amazing. But the good news is you should grab 1 or 2 beers because we're doing a lot more in this video. A lot of fantastic stuff. First, I'm gonna walk you through that speaker, show you that speaker, play guitar, talk about it, as usual. The second thing I wanna do is compare it to the industry standard, which is the Mesa Boogie Voiced Celestion Vintage 30. And I can switch between those 2 speakers right here with my KHE cabinet switcher. And there's even more. I got something special for you guys because you've been asking for impulse responses. And I've created some killer sounding impulse responses from this speaker, but also from 2 other great sounding Eminence speakers, like combinations of those speakers. So the DV-77, the SWAMP THANG, and the CV-75. And I created a little IR pack that will be officially released today by EMINENCE Digital. Isn't that amazing? So, finally you can get some IRs from me. This is not the official Kristian Kohle IR pack, but it's my take on the Eminence speakers. And the first link you see down here is your path to those IRs. And that is exactly the tone you're hearing in this video. Later in this video, I will have a few more sound bites so you can hear the different IRs. Fantastico, right? So, what else? Talking about Eminence Digital, you should check out that website because the guys at Eminence have created IRs of all their guitar speakers, a lot of guitar speakers. And that means there's a whole world of tones there. They have captured each speaker with several microphones. So there's like thousands of IRs and combinations and stuff. I know some of you guys are more like, I want to have 5 IRs, dark, bright, brutal, even more brutal. Fair enough, but others want to, find their own tone and, sculpt their own tone, find cool combinations. And I actually also used the Eminence library to find out which real hardware speakers I like. So I discovered the Tonker, for example, which seems to be a great speaker to be blended with other speakers. And I will check out the hardware version. And by the way, finally, you can also win something. 5 people can win something. What do you have to do? You have to subscribe to my email list. You know how that works. You find a link in the description. Sell your soul to the devil. I'll take care of it. And 5 people will actually win their 5 favorite speakers at the Eminence Digital shop because you can buy packs, but you can also just buy single speakers. So 5 people will be able to just choose their 5 favorite speakers there and get the IRs. Cool, right? But let's get going. Let me grab my guitar. Let's check out the speaker. Here we go. So let me show you the rig I'm playing. I'm playing a Brunetti Extra Lead amp, one of my favorite amps as you might know, boosted by a Tube Screamer. And this amp is driving 2 4x12 cabs, 2 Mesa Boogie 4x12 cabs. One is loaded with a stock Mesa Boogie voiced vintage 30s and 8 ohm, and the other one is loaded with different Eminence speakers, but we're only listening to the DV-77 also in 8 ohm. Both speakers, and this is important, the DV-77 and my favorite Vintage 30 actually, are mic'd at the exact same position, and that is at the edge of the dust cap. I'm doing this because it's a very common position to put your SM57. And it's a fair comparison, right? So let's listen to the DV-77 one more time and switch to the V30. That's the V30. Back to the DV. Wow, sounds nice, right? So I can hear the V30 sounds a lot brighter. Some would say harsh. A lot of people complain about the V30s sounding harsh. I think they sound aggressive, but we can clearly hear that the DV-77 sounds less harsh, less aggressive, and I think a lot of people will like that. The second thing is I feel like the mids are somehow shifted, so they seem to the mid peak seems to be a little lower on the DV, more around 1K or something. Vintage 30. That sounds a little higher and a little sharp. And also, the bass seems to be a little fuller on the Eminence speaker. That's what I hear. The most important quality of any guitar speaker is that it sounds balanced and harmonic, especially in the mid-range. It's hard to describe what it is. That's something you have to hear because, of course, a guitar speaker is far from being linear. But many guitar speakers just have a weird mid-range. It feels like there's some resonances, there's some peaks and dips, something you cannot compensate with the broad EQ of your amp. So if a speaker sounds, let's call it unbalanced or just weird, you will end up fighting it in a mix with a lot of EQ moves. So the more harmonic a speaker sounds, the more it will just sit in your mix and the less it will need any treatment in the studio. And this speaker, just like the V30, sounds very harmonic, very balanced. Which is very, very important, especially if you play high gain tones. Another important quality a speaker needs, especially for high gain tones and for metal, is that it sounds direct and in your face. That is actually one of the key qualities of the V30. A lot of other speakers, if you close mic them, in direct comparison to the V30, they sound like next door, like really far away. And you have to push the upper mid frequencies to make it sit in a mix, but that's gonna sound weird again. So what we want are speakers that sit right here, because that's what we need in heavy metal. And this speaker here sounds very direct. It cuts through, it jumps at you. And the cool thing is, it does that without sounding any harsh. So even if you go higher, it always stays kind of warm, even with an aggressive rhythm guitar tone like this, because it has the lows, the lower mids to compensate, you know. Just sounds as direct as the V30. And also very dry, in your face. And so balanced. Perhaps the key quality of the V30, in my opinion, is that the V30 kind of focuses on the main tonal information of your guitar tone. Not the noise, not the oomph, not the stuff around it, but the important information. So it sounds very transparent, it sounds very direct, it concentrates on what you play. Whereas other speakers just add like a whole cloud of fizz and of other stuff around it. So that is one of the cool things about the V30. But the shocking news is that the DV-77 seems to be even better. So let's have a listen. Let's start with the V30. And the DV. And because all the fizz is gone, I can hear the notes even better. I have more note separation. I have just clear representation of what I play, which will help you in a dense metal mix. There's just nothing wrong about it, you know what I mean? And speakers can sound so different, and I've had so many speakers here, and with most of them, after 2 seconds, you can just tell like, I know, doesn't work, it's wrong. So a lot of you guys have been waiting for that speaker, I know, because it had been announced earlier this year. But what they told me is the speaker will be released very soon. What can I say about the speaker? It has been designed, of course, together with Mick Thomson from Slipknot, but also together with Mike from Omega Amps, who is Mick Thomson's guitar tech. From what I remember, the idea was to make a speaker based on the idea of an old V30, but with less high-end fizz, less aggressive upper frequencies than a V30, and with a slightly shifted low end or something. As you can hear, I'm blown away by the speaker. Let me sum it up. It kind of sounds a little fuller in the lower mids and the bass than the V30. It is less harsh, that is the biggest difference. And the mids are also slightly shifted, but it's just as good and in all disciplines and better in some disciplines. And especially the fact that it sounds less aggressive or less harsh will be great for a lot of people that complain about the V30. And finally, I have to say, finally, there's a speaker that rivals the V30. Finally, some competition, you know, for Celestion and for the V30. That's something cool, right? I think I'm freaking out a little too much now. Not very German of me. I'm sorry. No, it's a great speaker, and it will be a permanent member of my recording and reamping setup here, where I use the V30, but also some other speakers. And it actually might become my go-to speaker in the future. So if you're looking for something else, something that sounds great, is easy to mic, and is not from Celestion and not a vintage 30, but also very mid-forward sounding and kind of from the same family, don't look any further. All right, I will head over to my DAW now and show you the IRs, because this way you can just, get that speaker in a virtual way today. Let's do that. Here we are, and I'm not going to use any fancy tube amps to show you my IRs. I'm going to use some plugins, and I'm going to use some plugins from Neural DSP, because I think they have some great amp emulations out. One of them is the Omega Granifier plugin, and I thought, why shouldn't I choose that one? Because that's the amp that Mick Thomson is playing, right? Here you can see the plugin, and that is basically the default preset, except for the impulse response. So this is already one of my impulse responses. So this is what it sounds like if you just open the Omega plugin and load one of my impulses. Quite nice. And I have to say, I love that amp. Great amp. It has that rectifier low end. Rectifier balls. Overall, the frequency range reminds me of a rectifier. Like slightly scooped, aggressive higher mid-bite, Not at all those typical forward sounding mids that a Marshall or a 5150 has. Really cool and special. And there's some kind of bark in the palm mutes that I like. The distortion is tighter in the low end than a rectifier, at least a non-boosted rectifier. Great amp. Let me just boost the highs a little. Great sounding amp and great work by Neural DSP as well. It really feels like playing a real tube amp. Alright, let me talk about the IRs now. So what we have 3 different cabinets. The main cabinet is a Slipknot cab, DV-77. And this is the main impulse. Mid forward. Controlled tight low end. All right, there's also a brighter version of this one. I think I slightly moved the mic so you get a little more grind. All right, then we have the other speakers. First, we have the SWAMP THANG. Swampy, right? I really like that speaker. To me, that's the better sounding K100. So big low end, no grind at all, like. And what I call a honky yet scooped mid-range. So this one can sound brutal on its own, but it's mostly a speaker that I mix in. So I have some combinations. So for example, there is, by the way, you can just mix those IRs because I took care of the phase. The phase will always be okay. So you can load several IRs or 2 IRs into your IR loader and just mix them to taste. But if you're lazy, there are also some IRs where I directly mix those speakers. So let's go for 50-50 SWAMP THANG and DV-77 Slipknot. So now you see you have half that swampy character, but not that much anymore. The third speaker is the CV-75, and that one sounds a lot brighter. That speaker just has a lot of sizzle, bigger low end than the 77, the Slipknot speaker, and slightly scooped. Perhaps a little too scooped for this amplifier. But I like the preset where I mixed this speaker and the 77 Slipknot 50-50%. Let's have a listen. That one sounds great. So let me just sum it up. So you got those 3 speakers. The main speaker is a Slipknot speaker, DV-77, with several impulses like brighter and darker and a little scooped. And then you have each one impulse of the other speakers, SWAMP THANG and CV-75. And then you have some combinations. I think around 10 IRs to play with. Really nice. Let's just have a final listen to another amp. And now you will hear what I mean when I say the Omega amp doesn't have that forward mid-range. If we switch from this amp to a 14 NTS, You can actually hear how thick the low end of the Omega is, and that it sounds a little, yeah, more scoop. I think for the 14 I would rather choose the DV-75, which tames the mids a little bit. And that is also a great amp. Even tighter distortion. And more mids. More like what I call a typical high gain amp. But if I'm honest, I prefer the Omega. More character. And that low end is just sexy. Yeah, but I'm drifting away. I wanted to talk about the IRs. Have I said everything? I hope so. Once again, down here, there's a link in the description. The first link. This is where you can buy my IR pack. And like I said, 5 people can win something. So if you haven't subscribed to my email list, you should do that now. And then in about 1 or 2 weeks, I will announce the winners in another video. I really, really hope that Eminence will release that DV-77 speaker soon, because the world needs it. And Celestion needs some competition, right? Like I said, I'm blown away, and it's just something fresh. And I really like that. So, dear Eminence, you know, hurry up. People need this speaker out there, okay? What else? I want you to subscribe. I can't speak anymore. It's getting late. I want you to subscribe to this channel, please, right? If you like these videos. Ring the bell, ding dong, so you see more of me. And what else? Yes, I'm working on my guitar course. It's just, I've got too much stuff to do. Productions in the studio, these videos, a guitar course, and Christmas is also coming, right? Satanic Christmas in my case. Whatever. Subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for more videos. The course will be coming soon at Pro Mix Academy. Blah, 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 blah. I will also release like a full IR pack in the next year, early next year, with different cabinets, different speakers, like a lot more than this. But this one already sounds pretty fucking amazing if you ask me. But yeah, I might be a little biased. Whatever, I'm talking too much. Thanks, subscribe to my socials. Now I've mentioned all the stuff you need to mention in the end of the video, right? I just forgot to say one thing. See you in hell, motherfuckers. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.